200 years ago, the streets above were filled with life, markets, laughter, and the noise of a growing city. Today, just beneath those same streets, lie the silent remains of millions. The city hasn't changed on the surface, but below it, another world exists. This is the story of the Paris Catacombs, one of the most haunting and extraordinary places on Earth. Beneath the bustling streets of Paris stretches a hidden network of tunnels that few truly understand. Known as the Catacombs of Paris, this underground labyrinth holds the remains of more than 6 million people. It is not just a burial site, it is a monument to a crisis, a solution born from necessity, and a place where history, death, and architecture intersect in a way unlike anywhere else in the world. To understand how this eerie underground city came to exist, we must go back to the late 18th century. At the time, Paris was rapidly expanding. Its population was growing, and with it came a problem no one could ignore. The city's cemeteries were overflowing. The most infamous of these was the Cemetery of the Innocents, located in the heart of the city. For centuries, it had served as the primary burial ground for Parisians, but by the 1700s, it had become dangerously overcrowded. Bodies were buried in mass graves, stacked one upon another with little space in between. As the graves filled, new bodies were simply added on top. Over time, the ground became unstable, walls collapsed, decomposing remains began to seep into nearby basements. The smell alone was unbearable. In 1780, after a particularly heavy rainfall, part of the cemetery wall collapsed, sending human remains spilling into the streets and nearby properties. This was the breaking point. Authorities could no longer ignore the public health risk. The solution was both practical and unprecedented. Paris already had a network of abandoned limestone quarries beneath the city, vast, empty tunnels that had once supplied stone for buildings above. Officials decided to repurpose these tunnels as a new kind of burial space. In 1786, the transfer began. Under the cover of night, carts filled with bones were transported through the streets of Paris. Priests led the process, performing rituals as the remains were moved from overcrowded cemeteries into the underground tunnels. This process continued for years, gradually relocating millions of skeletons beneath the city. At first, the bones were simply piled into the tunnels without order, but in the early 19th century, an inspector named Louis-Étienne Héricard de Thury transformed the site into something more structured and more haunting. He ordered the bones to be arranged in organized patterns. Skulls and femurs were stacked neatly to form walls, while other bones filled the spaces behind them. The result was both artistic and unsettling, a place where death was not hidden but displayed. Walking through the catacombs today feels like entering another dimension of Paris. Narrow corridors stretch endlessly in all directions. The air is cool and damp. The walls are lined with carefully arranged skulls, their empty eye sockets staring outward in silent rows. Signs mark different sections, indicating which cemetery the remains came from. In some areas, inscriptions and plaques add a historical context, reminders that these were once living people with stories of their own. Despite its eerie nature, the catacombs are not a place of chaos. There is a strange sense of order, even calm. The silence is profound. It is not the silence of emptiness, but of presence. Over the years, the catacombs have attracted all kinds of visitors. In the 19th century, it became something of a curiosity among the elite. Writers, artists, and even royalty toured the tunnels, fascinated by their uniqueness. Private concerts were once held in certain chambers where music echoed through the underground passages. But not all visitors came with permission. There exists a subculture known as cataphiles, urban explorers who illegally enter the restricted parts of the catacombs. These hidden sections are far more extensive than the areas open to the public, stretching for miles beneath the city. Some of these explorers map the tunnels, create underground art, or simply seek the thrill of navigating a forbidden world. This has not been without danger. The catacombs are a maze, and getting lost is a real risk. In 1793, a hospital worker named Philibert Aspaier entered the tunnels and never found his way out. His body was discovered years later, not far from an exit he could not locate in the darkness. Even today, authorities strictly regulate access. Large portions of the catacombs remain closed, and entering them without permission is illegal. Beyond its mystery, the catacombs also serve as a powerful reminder of how cities evolve. What began as a public health crisis led to the creation of one of the most unique historical sites in the world. It reflects a time when necessity forced innovation, when the living had to find space among the dead. For modern audiences, especially in the United States, where interest in dark history and hidden places continues to grow, the Paris Catacombs represent something deeply compelling. It is not just about death, it is about how societies deal with it, how they adapt, and how they remember. Standing beneath Paris, surrounded by millions of silent witnesses, one cannot help but feel a shift in perspective. Above ground, life moves fast. People rush through streets, unaware of what lies beneath their feet. Below ground, time feels different. The bones do not move. The silence does not change. The stories remain, even if the voices are gone. 200 years ago, this underground world was created out of necessity. Today, it stands as one of the most haunting reminders of human history. Because beneath one of the most beautiful cities in the world lies a city of the dead. And the deeper you go, the more you realize Paris was never just built above ground.